Hi everyone, my name is Wayne. I'm here to show off a small part of a game called Ethereal Clash of Souls, a title developed by Undying Games. A 6 vs 6 third-person MOBA with unique mechanics, new style of gameplay and environment elements that differ from other MOBA titles. This title is still heavily in development, so everything here is prone to change. If you'd like to support me, visit my Patreon or donate below. Any contributions are greatly appreciated. We'll go through the quick process overview of the creation of the pit, so let's get to it. What I'm showing off today is a small area where you'll be battling for a powerful buff with allies and foes, the Fire Wyvern Pit. The fundamental design choice of the pit was designing an area that was similar to a boss fight. Large enough area for players and the Wyvern to move around in, and also enough space to fight. Rather than some simple cave, I wanted an open, elevated area that introduced new elements for gameplay. Blocking vision by using height rather than intrusive visuals, and giving players height advantage while in the pit. The height of the pit also grounds the player to tell you which lane you're in, and which direction you're facing. My own personal goal for this area was to use Houdini as much as possible to create assets for this area. Being able to procedurally generate unique static meshes with texture maps included made creating the pit much faster. Basics of the Houdini tool was adding a simple modeled piece that was blocked out to fit and to rockify it. I also hooked up parts of the noise offsets into the timeline slider so I could slide and generate different types of pieces. Once the generation was complete, I then simplified the high poly mesh into a low poly one and have it UV'd and laid out. You could also procedurally generate your own rock textures in Houdini, but I decided to take a different route, going into Quixel Mixer for this. Using the generated texture maps, I plugged them into the material slots in Mixer with the mesh and created a rock texture that fit the floor of the pit. The floor uses similar materials so they can blend together better with the pillars, and it uses the new Megascan's Master Material Vertex painting with height map. The new Master Material provides a greater way to blend multiple materials in a more realistic way and breaks up repetitive tiling much better. Now that all the pieces parts are completed, it was time to bring everything together in Engine. The blockout floor was replaced with the completed one and assigning the Megascan's material to it, quickly painting each vertex color randomly throughout the floor. Adding in the pillars alongside the path to achieve the shape and wall structure of the pit. There's additional Megascan rocks painting around as well as to give it an additional shape and gradually smaller rock sizes. It also helps hiding intersections you may see with the pillars and floors. All the rock materials on the Megascans had to be adjusted to fit the same material used on the floor and pillars. Randomly scattering rocks on the floor also made it feel less flat, but due to it being out in the open and realistically, most of the rocks would be blown away, so I didn't want to add too many. Then we have this bleeding issues. I attempted to try to blend it with multiple methods, but due to the scale of the floor, nothing really fit well. It also caused multiple shading issues that altered the look of the floor. Vertex painting the landscape runtime virtual texture at the time didn't work due to the lower Unreal Engine version. So instead I just went with decal that could get a nice natural dirt fall off. I had to make it count due to the overdraw and draw calls, so I had to avoid placing too many in one area. Lighting is always an important component, but since we're developing an actual game this time and not an environment piece, we can't be too heavy with the shadows. Applying point lights with no shadows enabled, and possibly using shadow lights in extremely important areas. Unshadowed lighting also caused light bleeding in natural ways, such as lighting seen through walls, so we have to be very careful with positioning. There is also an importance to not make the lighting too overpowering around playable areas, as to not make it oversaturated with particles. The side lava pits also needed the visual density of fog and heat, so I went with a fog sheet particle with the digital volumetric scattering lights to provide a feeling of extreme heat. The bottom corners of the lava pit have smaller point lights to make sure every corner gets touched by the light of the lava and to avoid bleeding into player areas. And that's just a small glimpse into Ethereal's Clash of Souls map. If you'd like to learn more about the game, check out the link in the description. Thank you everyone for watching, and I hope everyone keeps developing those games.